I don't know what anymore of Ignite, but we've all been doing this, and it's 9 a.m., so let's try again. Good morning. Good morning. Much better. So I cannot begin to tell you how much of a pleasure it is to see you all here at 9 o'clock in the morning to talk about SLIs and SLOs and SRE in general. It warms the cockles of my heart that you're all here, and you should all feel really good about being here. So one of the things that will help me as I set this thing up is to get an idea of how many people got a chance to see the intro to SRE session that I gave many months ago. So a number of you did. How many people were not in that room? Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I sort of level set everybody. The people that were here are going to see some stuff they've seen before, but this will reinforce it and give you a chance to check your email for maybe 5 minutes or so. But I'm going to make sure you sort of have that. The other thing I should probably mention is who I am. I'm David Blank-Edelman. I'm a senior cloud ops advocate working for Microsoft, and I pay attention to SRE all the time. So the things I guess I want to say is I have a philosophy about 400 sessions that says if you walk out of a 400 session going, that was really hard and I didn't understand a single thing and I didn't get anything out of it, then I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to walk out of this going, wait, this stuff is that easy? I understand this complex stuff that well? Like, I get it? Like, then I'm going to feel like, okay, I've succeeded. So that's the feeling I'm hoping you're going to have. The other thing I want to say about my talks is that in this particular talk, what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to do that thing where you sit down and you have a jigsaw puzzle and you do everything in the jigsaw puzzle except for one piece. And what I'm going to do is at the end, I'm going to leave you with an incomplete jigsaw puzzle with one piece missing. And I'm going to hand the piece to you so you can have that experience of plugging it in your own environment, in your own head. That's my goal, is to make you feel like, okay, I know what I need to do. I have it in my hand. I can just plug it in, and I'm going to get that satisfaction of making, I don't know, Harry Potter or whatever it is you make your jigsaw puzzle. So that's what's going to happen. The other warning I thought I might give you is that this is going to be as much about SLIs and SLOs as it is about Azure. So if you were looking for Azure talks, I think there's some, quadrillion of them right outside the door. This is going to be focusing on SLIs and SLOs. And then at the end, we're going to talk briefly about how you start doing this with Azure so you can get going. But I think what you're going to experience, like I do, is once you understand the fundamentals, once you understand what you have to do, doing it on Azure and doing it there is going to feel easy and natural to you. So let's start off with that sort of stuff. So okay, so here we are. We're going to go back to sort of the SRE 101 stuff. And what I want to do is I'm doing this because for the people that were not in the initial session, I want to put this talk in context for you so you have some idea of what I'm talking about. So this is my best definition of what site reliability engineering is. It's a difficult to pronounce thing. This is my best definition. Everybody has their own definition. You should make one up yourself. But I think site reliability engineering is an engineering discipline devoted to helping an organization achieve the appropriate level of reliability in their systems, services, and products. So there are two really important words in this definition. One of them is the word reliability, and the other one is the word appropriate. And we're going to talk about both as part of this small little intro about site reliability engineering. So let's talk about reliability. For those who were in the room before, please don't spoil it for those who weren't. But I would really like anybody who has not seen this intro to tell me what this is a slide of. And you are looking at it very carefully. If you want to come up very close to the screen and look, it's okay with me. But you probably don't need to. Okay, please raise your hand if you can tell me what this is. And this is 9 o'clock in the morning, so I expect lots of energy and responses from you. Raise your hand if you know what this is. Nobody? Try. I hear somebody saying something like this. Yes, sir. It's a blank slide. You're close. It does look a lot like a blank slide, but it's a high-fidelity blank slide, and I'll explain to that in a moment. What else do you think this could possibly be? Planned outage. A planned outage. Wouldn't that be great if it were true? It would be really great. Yeah, I stay up all night waiting for the outage to happen, and then I took a screenshot of it. That would be awesome if this were true, and maybe you could think that I did that. No, what I typically say is this is what it looks like when a PHP app errors out. Or if, in fact, you're more used to things like Java, I'll put this on the screen. I don't leave this on the screen very long because it tends to cause people in the audience to start twitching, because they've seen enough of these sort of things. So we'll go back to the PHP. Oops, well, I guess I took the PHP one out. out there. The reason why I'm showing you is this. The reason why we talk about reliability and site reliability engineering, besides justifying the name, is that reliability has to be a primary property of your system. You can spend many billions of dollars creating the most amazing service or app or product in the world. You can hire all the people in a small nation state to work on it. You can make it walk the dog. You can do those things. But if your app is not up, if your service is not up, if your product is not functioning, it does you and the business no good at all. So this is why reliability is important. It is awesome to add all the features you want, but if you're not making it reliable, if you're not focusing on reliable, you're not going to get the value of that out of that effort. And that's a lot of effort, and people spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of people building things. But if they're not up, that's a problem. So that's one of the things that goes into reliability. And the thing that's tricky about that is, oh, look, I did have this here. The thing that's tricky about that is there's a bit of a tug of war that goes on when it comes to reliability. On one hand, over here you have the developers who are furiously typing and are trying to create code and are iterating the system and adding features and doing all these things, which tend to perturb reliability to a certain extent as you put new features and stuff into play, just by definition. And over here you have the people who maybe have as one of their tasks, or their entire task, making sure that the system stays reliable, stays stable, stays up, right, all the time. And the thing is these two things are in conflict. Right? These things are in conflict, this notion that, like, on one hand, you have people who want to change the system as much as possible, and on the other hand, you have people who want to keep them as stable as possible so it can stay up. And the deal with that is that's difficult. That's a difficult thing to reconcile, and that's where the land of DevOps came from. And there are definitely parts and important parts of site reliability engineering that's meant to help you with that particular dichotomy. So we're going to talk about what SRE is in a second. The other thing I want to mention before I'll come back to the slide. It's a nice slide. The other thing I want to mention to you was the question about appropriate. So when I said that SRE is about making sure that you have the appropriate level of reliability, one of the things that is important to realize, and that SRE feels very strongly, is there are almost no cases, there are very few cases where 100% reliable is a good goal, which may bake your noodle if you've grown up in the IT ops world where your goal was to make everything as reliable as possible. But the idea behind this is there is an appropriate level of reliability. If you shoot for 100% reliability, and this is a good thing to shoot for if in fact you're a medical device manufacturer, like I want my pacemaker to be running 100% time, yes please. Or I want my airplanes to pretty please continue to fly 100% of the time. So those are some exceptions. But in fact, I would suggest almost all other cases, 100% is the wrong number to shoot for. And I asked this the last time, and I get some great answers last time. Let me ask it here. Why is 100% a bad number to shoot for when it comes to reliability? Sorry, I heard it, but you got to raise your hand because I go, yes, please. It's expensive, that's right. The more, and I don't usually talk about nines that much, but the more reliable you try to get, the more expensive it gets, and it gets really expensive. You, sir, all the way in the back, please. It leaves no room for growth. Oh, I love you. Yes, that's exactly right. Because when you're 100% reliable, the only thing you can do at that point is react to unreliability. If you, let's say you made the magic number of 100%, you can do nothing at that point except to deal with the fact that you've slipped. Yes, sir. High turnover and increased drug use amongst IT. Well, yeah. So as amusing as it is, there are some. You can burn people out, trying to go against an impossible goal, right? And that's the other thing. And so it's expensive not only in terms of money, but in terms of human capital. So I agree with you. And we can talk about the drug thing later. Maybe I can help when it comes to this sort of thing. What else? What's another reason why 100% reliable is problematic? It's unrealistic. Yeah, it is unrealistic. Let me tell you a couple of reasons why it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic because chances are, A, your dependencies aren't 100% reliable, right? The things that your thing depends on, and almost always we depend on something, be it LDAP or some other, be it a D or anything, right? Like that isn't 100% reliable, so you're already chasing unrealistic there. The other place that you're chasing unrealistic is, let's say I've got a web app, and I expect my customers to connect to that web app, and if I think it's going to be up 100% of the time, I don't know about you, but my cable provider isn't up 100% of the time. So the intermediate path isn't 100%. Right? And if the intermediate path between the person clicking on the thing and the thing you're putting up to be reliable all the time isn't always reliable, then you are burning money during that time when they're down. Like the fact that you happen to have people who are on call taking drugs, isn't going to help any, right? So that's why 100% isn't the right goal, and you're going to see why that's going to play right into the rest of this talk in a big and strong way. So the best place that I know to start off when I was sort of looking into like what is site reliability engineering is there's a conference, and a disclaimer, I helped co-found this conference called SRE-Con, which is, as you can guess, a conference of SREs getting together to talk to other SREs. This was the very first talk, the very first keynote on the very first day, those times ago back in Santa Clara, given by Ben Traynor SLOs, and I note the word SLOs because if you look at the Microsoft Learn module that I just published out there on SRE. If you want to learn about SRE, there's a Microsoft Learn module. There's a typo that should get fixed today that calls him Ben Traynor Floss. I apologize, Ben. Please don't hate me. But say again. No, it's Sloss is the way his name was. Yes, yes. But I was telling a friend, like, I'm just hoping I don't get called to the Hall of the Mountain King to pay for that typo. But anyway, Ben Traynor gave this amazing talk in which he discussed what he thought was, for him, since he was the one who invented the term and created the thing at Google, what he thought SRE was. And in the middle of it, there's this lovely slide. This didn't come from Ben directly. You don't have to read all of it because, quite frankly, this is the part we're going to talk about today. That says, have an SLA for your service, measure and report performance against SLA, and use error budgets and gate launches on them, which may mean nothing to you at all, but allow me to explain. So the idea here, and we're going to go into depth about this in this talk, this is what this talk is about, is the first step is you want to figure out what it is you're going to measure. What is going to be your indicator of what it means to be up? And then you're going to figure out, once you've figured out what is your indicator, what it means to be up, then you're going to come up with some objective that says, I expect my service to be up, let's say, 80% of the time. I know it's a terrible number and you shouldn't shoot for it, but people can think in those numbers versus nines. Like you can say, let's say 4 nines, then you have to start computing like minutes of downtime. And I know what you have to do that in your head. So let's say 80%. My job is I'm going to keep this service up 80%. The other 20% of the time we don't care. That's okay for downtime stuff. But we've decided it has to be up 80% of the time. So you come up with something called a service level objective. And we're going to be talking about those in great detail. Once you have a service level objective, you want it to be able to be embodied in your monitoring system. You want to have a monitoring system that you trust and everybody else in the business trusts. The developers trust, the management trusts, you trusts, and you want to put your SLO and represent it in your monitoring system. The goal here is to have a place where everybody can look at the same data, that you're dealing with objective information. You're not going, well, I think the system was up a lot in February. Let me think. Yeah, no, it's pretty good in February. Like, you don't want that. You want it so that you can always look and say, like, hey, how are we doing today? How did we do last month? How did we do last quarter? And you want everybody to agree on this. And once you have that in the monitoring system, then you can start making decisions. Like one decision you might want to decide, and this is sort of where the error budget stuff comes in, is you might decide, okay, well, we want to launch a new release. We have a bunch of new features. We've rewritten a significant part of code. We want to release something new. Well, you can look at your monitoring system and say, well, we have, we've been up 90% of the time. This service, according to my monitoring system, is about 90% of the time. We're past our SLO. This is awesome. Good to go. Or you may look at your system and you may say to yourself, uh-oh, our system's been up 60% of the time for whatever reason that may be. And then you might decide, maybe I'm not going to launch that release right now. Maybe I'm going to spend some time figuring out what went on. Maybe there's lots of things you can do. We're going to talk about that for sure. So that's the fundamentals about what we're going to talk about. This is the basic version. We're going to go into depth. So, sorry, before I go any further, are there any questions about this before I sort of start to really get into the SLO, SLI stuff? Like we're about to dive, right? As part of our deep dive. I should do this. Dive. Yeah, anyway, yeah. Okay, barring any questions, and you should feel free to ask later when it suddenly occurs to you that you want to know, did Fred know the car was going to tip over when he ordered the large ribs, or anything along those lines, just feel free to ask. Okay, so why is this stuff so important? Which is like, why are you sitting in this room at 9 a.m. at Microsoft Ignite? I know you flew here just for this session. Why did you do that? SLOs, SLIs, and error budgets, in whatever order you'd like, are important for a few reasons. One of the things that they give you is a common language and common ground to have conversations about reliability with various parts of the business that matter, with the various stakeholders. It gives you a place to talk about things in a non-judgmental, non-finger-pointing, not sort of way. We're all looking at the same data. We're all coming up to this question like, okay, how reliable should this be? We're talking to developers and saying, what do you mean reliable? What do you mean by that? Like, do you mean like it returns in a certain amount of time? Do you mean it like processes a certain amount of things? What do you mean by that? And you have these conversations that are maybe not conversations you're having now because you have a siloed environment. This is a place where you can start to have those conversations. And once the business starts focusing on reliability in this way, they start to get more of it, strangely enough. And the acrimony tends to go down, at least in my experience. It is entirely possible to have a worldwide wrestling match over SLOs and SLIs in a steel cage. I don't recommend that. Be nice to the people in your thing, but most of the time you get a really good effect. And the thing that makes it really useful is that objective data thing. We're all looking at the same monitoring system. We all agreed on what we're looking at to monitor. So we now look at objective data. We're not like dealing with your hunch, or somebody's like, I've been in the business for 20 years and I've never seen anything this reliable. That's not useful, right? You're talking about real data. So it makes it super easy. The other thing that this does is it drives clarity into your process because it forces you to have these conversations in which you're asking the right questions. When you're asking someone, well, what do you mean? And my experience is, as an operations person for some 34 odd years, when I go over to a developer and say, can you explain to me how your service works? Can you explain to me what you are expecting from this? Can you explain to me how you think it might possibly fail? They love to have that conversation. They're like wriggling and peeing on the floor. They're so happy to have this conversation. I mean, I hope not, but that doesn't happen that much when I'm talking to developers, but you never know. They just love it, and you're really putting a focus and a clarity into this process that you didn't have before, and I think that's really important. The other thing, and perhaps the final thing I want to say about this, is you're creating this virtuous cycle, right? You're creating this thing where we're setting these objectives, we're all working towards that objective, we succeed or we don't. If we don't, we now work on it some more, and then we continue around. And it turns into this really lovely cycle that tends to yield more reliability, less burnout, less illegal drug use in your... Now I'm going to be stuck on your comment for the entire talk. Thanks very much. Less of this acrimony, less burnout, because we're all moving in a positive way. And virtuous cycles are really important to SRE. Oh, and the other thing I guess I want to say, and I made it as a tiny aside, SLOs, SLIs, and error budgets are not magic. I'm not suggesting you go back to your environment, which is full of people that have shivs in their boots and are ready to take you down at any moment. I'm not saying that I don't know what your environment is like. I really hope it's not like I imagine it to be like Oz or the prison environment. But I'm just saying, even if you go back to an environment that is like that, or even an environment that is just happy bunnies hopping through the meadow all the time, SLIs, SLOs, and others are not magic. They're a good tool. Maybe they work for you. I cannot make any promise, but they are a good tool. But they will not necessarily turn a toxic environment not toxic. They might help some, but I don't think that they're not going to be magic. So please don't come to me and say, Microsoft says that if I only do this, my world is going to be better. Might, don't know. The other tiny aside I want to say is it is plausible, though I don't know another one, that there's another way to get these effects besides SLIs, SLOs, and error budgets. That there might be another process. that in the sea of humanity, somebody somewhere hasn't figured out how to use like yogurt to make all this stuff happen. Like I think that's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. I'm almost certain. But there is another way to do this. I'm not trying to say this is the one and true way and follow me, follow the sandal. That's a Monty Python reference. I'm just trying to say that this is one tool that might be good for you. Okay, so let's dive into this sort of stuff. Let's talk about service level indicators, okay? These are the things where we are trying to talk about reliability. So the thing to understand about reliability is, in addition to being in a blue box at the bottom of the screen, it is a many-splendored thing. Reliability means many things depending on the context. We don't always think about that. Often we think about reliability simply as availability. Right? Can I get to the website? Is the service up? Is it, we think about it as reliability, but that's not the only possible measure of reliability, nor should it be in your environment. Another important one in this world is the land of latency. Slow is the new down, as they say, right? So sometimes you need to have indicators of latency. How quickly does something respond? And that's as important as, is it up? Because, like the first time that your website takes a half an hour to respond to a click is the last time somebody's on your website, right? Ideally. So you got to understand that latency is important, but that's not it also. Sometimes, for example, when you're dealing with pipe systems or batch systems and stuff like that, you care a lot about throughput. And if your thing isn't providing the right amount of throughput, it might as well be down, right? So we're talking about reliability of this. Similarly, again, in sort of the pipeline thing, you might care about coverage. Did the thing that is processing my data complete what it was doing? Did it cover the entire, did it work through the entire database? Did it work through the entire batch? Because if it didn't, that also could be considered down. So I want you to think a little bit of reliability differently. Here's another one that you may or may not have thought of. Did the thing that it was supposed to be working on my data do the right thing? Measurably do the right thing? Because if it didn't, that could be considered down and something you need to have an indicator of. Similarly, you might have, this is an interesting one, quality. So quality comes into play if you're trying to build resilient systems. So for example, if you hear fine folks like Netflix talk, they will say that what they try to do is make sure that their system seamlessly degrades if something is down. So it may be the case that you're on Netflix, and instead of saying your recommendations that are exactly yours, if something is going wrong there, maybe they'll show you generic, hey, here's our top things that we're showing now. Or maybe the recommendation, if the recommendation system is down, that they can show you something that degrades. So the question then is, what is the quality of what they're serving to you? That's a measure of quality to them. Right? Does that make sense? I mean, quality sounds like, quality is job one, but you understand what I mean by that? That, like, are you serving things at full fidelity? Which might be the way I would put it. Kind of strange and interesting, but you think about that. Now, here's another one that also you may think about. If you're doing a system, the question you might ask is, how fresh is the data? Is my thing processing the data? Am I getting it in? Has it changed the amount of time I expect it to change in? Because in some situations, let's say, like sports scores, it's kind of super important that the data is fresh. I mean, it depends on the sport, I suppose. I mean, maybe not so much with cricket. No, sorry, just making fun of. I don't know how many people here are from a place that would pay attention to cricket. Anyway, but anyway, I shouldn't pick on cricket on stage. Anyway, because then the people come after you with these bats, and it's just terrible. Or if in fact you're running a storage system, you might have something around durability. The question is like, I wrote a bit, can I get it back again? That's kind of important to an SRE. Right? That's another measure of reliability. How quickly I get it. So there's a lot of stuff. I will leave that picture. People seem to dig this picture. I will leave this up. Yes, these are different things. And you can get the slides later if you want, and then you can take a picture of your laptop if you want. So, okay. Now, the thing that's really important about this pretty set of blue and gray boxes is that I don't really care very much about this in the abstract. It has to be from the customer's point of view. You have to be thinking about these things from the customer. And I don't necessarily mean like the external customer who's sitting, clicking in their underwear, sorry for the image, like at their house. It could be your internal customer. Somebody is using your service, they're consuming your service. So when you're talking about reliability and latency or availability, it's from their perspective. Not some abstract, hey, I see that my CPU is running at 90%. That doesn't matter. It's like, how is this impacting your customer? You're thinking about this from the customer's point of view. It is super important to realize that SLIs and SLOs are from that perspective. And if you're not thinking from that perspective and you're thinking about making the machines happy, I want you to start to reorient your thinking if you can. Super important. Okay, so let's talk about what SLIs are. SLIs are usually stated as a ratio or a proportion. So let's say it's the number of successful let's do the calculation. The number of successful HTTP calls over the number of just HTTP calls, right? You just do a divide, fractions, everybody? Yes? So, or maybe it's the number of operations that completed in less than 10 milliseconds over just the number of operations. Right? We're creating a ratio here. Number of full quality responses over the number of responses. Number of records processed versus the number of records we have, and so on, right? Not hard, got it? So the other thing that you typically will often see people do is they'll take this ratio, they'll times it by 100, and then they'll have a percentage. We'll see the math in a second. The thing that's important to realize when you're stating these things is it's really important to be very clear about where these numbers are coming from and where is it from. So for example, it's the number of successful HTTP calls, number of calls, there we go, as measured at the load balancer. Like, where are we measuring this stuff from? Right? This is also pretty critical when you start to talk about people, because you need to banish ambiguity if you can help it. Or number of things that completed in 10 milliseconds as measured at the client, or as reported in the server log, or as determined by the app. Okay? Something kind of important to realize that this is going to be critical, that we're going to be talking about, where did this measurement come from, so that we're all talking about the same thing. So just so we can make sure everybody gets the ratio proportion thing, we're going to do the insult your intelligence part of the show. If you have 50 successful HTTP calls out of 100 HTTP calls, what do you think the ratio is? Yes, that's right. Someone said a half. That's good. Everybody got me? Right? It's a ratio of 0.5, 50 divided by 100. Yes? Still good? With our maths, if we're not from here, or math if we are? Okay, now we do, and we time it by 100, and we get what? Louder, just so I feel like you're paying along. You're with me? Say again? 50%. Congratulations. 50% availability. You win. You get to take, your SATs and pass them. It'll be great. Okay? Great. So now you understand it's 50% availability, right? That's the math. This is the complexity that we need to start at, here. We can get more complex. We for sure can. Now, the question you might ask that's really important, and you need to ask, is like, where did these numbers that I'm talking about come from? So one place you can get these numbers is as reported by the server, by some server somewhere, your web server or whatever, right? And either that web server can take the information it has and directly spit it into some metric collection system, if it wants to, or you can have something that runs alongside it that just parses the logs and spits them at your metric system, right? Does that make sense? From your server, this is one place where you would collect this data. In fact, we're going to see this in the demo later. In the teeny tiny demo we're going to do, you're going to see this, okay? So that's one possibility. Another possibility that's kind of interesting is you could have it so that instead of getting it from your server, your clients could be keeping track of this stuff and spitting telemetry back up to some collection system that's external to all this. Right? The actual thing that is, maybe you have a little piece of your JavaScript that goes, oh, I see that took 5 milliseconds, and records that information and then tells somebody about it. Right? You can pull it from the client too. And sometimes that's really important, and we'll talk about that. It is also possible, instead of it being the server, the application itself could directly talk to a collection system. And in fact, we'll give an example of that later in Azure, which is kind of cool. Also, it may also be even more reliable, instead of talking to the server or to the app or the client, to be talking to the load balancer, the thing that's sitting in front of everything that sees all the traffic, right, as it comes in. Maybe you want the information from that, whatever's in the front. Or, and this is a oldie but goodie, maybe you've got a monitoring infrastructure, maybe you've got a testing infrastructure, and it's keeping track of how often it could get to your stuff, and it can report information. So this is your call. I'm not trying to tell you that you have to go get the information from one particular place. This is up to you. But you have to understand the trade-offs. Let me give you an example of a trade-off that when I first heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, right. So it is awesome that you could get the data from your server about how many times something has been requested. But what you don't get from your server is how many times the packet never gets to the server. Oh, I like that silence. That means you're thinking about it. That's really good. Right? Right? Because your server doesn't know about the things that it never saw. But for sure you care about that, right? In many cases. It's awesome to know it's awesome to know that that you served this many requests, but it's also incredibly important to know when you didn't serve a request because you never got it. And remember, this is from the customer's point of view, so that's kind of really key. Other things I want to say about this is, the problem with instrumenting your client is A, you have to put the stuff in your client code. B, you have to run this separate telemetry system, and there has to be a way to get the data up to it, right? And maybe you're sending more data. Like so it's really funny that's another set of bandwidth that you might have to worry about. And is that a problem if you're running on a mobile device? It might be. It surely might be. There are other places where things could be strange, in terms of what data you're getting from. If you're sticking it in your app, this means all of a sudden your app has to be instrumented in a way that it knows how to put data someplace. And that adds another level of complexity to your app. And when you rev your app or you rev your monitoring system or whatever it is, you have to go change all your apps. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe it is. I'm just trying to tell you that there's no one perfect way and there's no one terrible way. It's got to be from your thinking about it and doing the right thing. Okay? So, the other thing that's a big requirement about this in our discussion is you have got to engineer something that you trust from a metric system. SLIs, SLOs don't work if somebody can walk around and go, yeah, I see your numbers, but I don't think they're right. Like there's, your thing is terrible. Look, on Thursday, you didn't have any data for Thursday. Right? You have to be able to trust it. And that's why, I don't know if everyone's ever seen it, Mikey Dickerson, who was one of the SREs who went on to be the founding person who ran USDS, the United States Digital Service, who was one of the people on the team that came over that sort of saved healthcare.gov. If you're not in this country and never heard about it, good on you. That's what I gotta have to say. That's probably a fine thing. But it was the case that he was one of the SREs that had this success story, and in it he posits this hierarchy of reliability, which I could show a picture of if you want. And the bottom level of his pyramid is monitoring, because he is very clear that if you don't have monitoring that you trust, you don't know if things are getting better or getting worse. You don't even know if the tests you're running were the right tests, or you actually ran the test, if you don't have monitoring you trust. So that's a real requirement for this stuff that we're talking about. Okay? If you want to take a picture of something, come right up to the screen, put your nose against that screen, and take a picture of that line right there, because that's a really important one. Okay, so now we're going to talk about service level objectives. We're now going to take our SLIs and do something with it. The way I have always been able to handle the idea of a service level objective is to focus on the word objectives. So would you be so kind as to say the word objectives for me? Thank you. That sounded really like the Walking Dead. Anyway, but it was good. It was good. I'm not picking on you. I'm saying that because I wanted you to say objectives because it's so much easier if you think, okay, I am trying to construct what my objective is. To my mind, that makes it so much easier to think about this if you just keep that word in your head. So what you do with a service level objective is you take these SLIs that you've created, and I'm going to give you the basic SLO recipe. Let's just say you want to make SLO cake or something like that. Here's the basic recipe. The first thing you do is you take the thing you're caring about, be it HTTP requests, storage checks, how often could I read bytes, how many operations I did, and you stick it in your SLO. So let's see, in this SLO, I'm going to be talking about HTTP requests as reported by the load balancer. That's that implementation detail that I mentioned to you before. That's really important because you need to be able to tell, people all have to be looking at the same thing. As John Cage says, when you point to the moon, make sure you look at the moon and not at the finger, right? So it's really, really important. And you also have to say, well, what is it I'm caring about? I'm caring about the successful HTTP requests. The next thing you have to do is come up with that proportion thing, that ratio we were talking about. Successful 50% of the time, can read the data 99.9% of the time, return in 10 milliseconds 90% of the time, right? So congratulations, I have 90% of HTTP requests as reported by the load balancer succeeded. Okay, we're getting there, right? This is sounding like an objective. I want this to be true. Yes? And then the last component of this is some sort of time statement. You want to be saying, You want to be saying in the last 10-minute period, or during the last quarter, or in the previous rolling 30-day period. I would say not month by month, because months change, but so that's why you say 30-day period rolling sometimes. But sometimes it's important if you do this in the calendar year. So congratulations, I've constructed your first SLO for you. Does this SLO make sense? Does this look like an objective? Can you understand this objective? Yes? Yes, nod if you can. Don't nod if you can't. Yes, okay, so some people are either nodding or twitching. I can't tell which, but it appears to be nodding. This is the basic of an SLO. This is how hard it is. If this, and we're not gonna be like immediately then diving into deep statistics. This is a good way to start. This is a good start. Now, if you want to, you can make it more complex. You can do it in a lot of ways more complex. One way that people make it complex is it's not unusual to create a number of SLOs associated with the same thing, right? Because you might say, like, okay, I want to represent the actual situation, in which the actual situation is 90% of the reads last week took place in 10 milliseconds as reported by the disk checker. Or 95% of them actually took 20 milliseconds, were less than 20 milliseconds. So it's a compound one, right? You might say something like that as you start to stray out what you care about. And this might be fine. This might be totally fine. The other place that also people often do as you start to get more sophisticated with SLOs and SLIs is they start to talk about percentiles. So in the 50th percentile, this is true. In the 95th percentile of all the requests, this is true. And you start to sort of filter and segment in this particular way. Okay? You're probably going to get into that, but you don't have to start there. So we're only talking about where you're starting. Okay, so where do the numbers in these SLOs come from? Where do you get these objectives? You're not going to like my answer, but I'm going to tell you some of them. Customer expectations is another place to start, either external or internal. You may already have a sense in your head what customers expect of you, either internally or externally. You may, let's talk internal customers. You may go to an internal customer who wants to use your service, and they say, yeah, I'm going to be up 80% of the time, so I expect you to be up 85% of the time. Okay, that's one way to get an objective. You may do some market research that says that if your latency goes down, you may have some data that says, if my latency is too long after this percent, we start to lose customers. Okay, that's a good piece of data. So that's a fine place to start making up objectives. Another place you could get it from is this nebulous some other place. Somebody somewhere has somehow collected a piece of information or can tell you things that will be useful to you, and you can start there. I don't know what it is. I know what your environment's like. But sometimes somebody already has a number in their head, and maybe that number makes sense, so you could use it as part of an SLO. The other thing that you can do, which people have varying opinions about, is you can say, let me look at my service. It's running now. Here's what its current availability is. I'll use those numbers. It's as good an arbitrary number as any. The tricky thing about using the current one that people tend to warn about is if, in fact, you happen to be running a service and it's been running great, well above what you actually really need, and you take the number of how it's been running versus what you really need, it doesn't leave you any headroom. Headroom? I don't know what that means. Headroom. So you might want to watch out to not box yourself in with the current behavior. But it's not a bad place to start if you have no other numbers. I think it's a fine and dandy thing is to start with what you've got. So, okay. So again, contextually speaking, we're going to talk briefly about error budgets. Oh, and the other thing I want to say before I get very far is, despite the fact that Ben Trainer-Sloss used the word SLA, or in the initials SLA in his talk, let's talk about what SLAs are, just because people really want to get that out of there. I want to get that out of your system, because SREs don't really talk that much about SLAs. SLAs are legal agreements. There are legal agreements that say, basically, if you don't make this amount of reliability, whatever it is, availability, that sort of stuff, you're going to pay. I'm not going to have to pay you, or you're going to have to pay me money, or what it is. It's a legal agreement that touches on the objectives, right? But they're not, right? That it's meant to be. That's a kind of a separate thing. They're agreements, right? SLOs are objectives. We want to talk about objectives in this particular case. If you want to put teeth behind them with money and stuff like that, rock on, but that's not what we're focused on right here. So, okay, error budgets. So let's assume that I have come up with some really terrible SLOs, or really great SLOs, depending on the way you want to think about it, where I'm saying, I promise that I'm going to be available or up, or I don't know, whatever you want it to be, 60% of the time. or 70% of the time. Again, these are the things that we were talking about before, or 90% of the time. I'm making this sort of stuff up, okay? Right? You can imagine that I came up with these SLOs. I made these up. Arbitrary as good. So the error budget is these gray boxes, okay? The error budget is the difference between whatever your SLO is and 100% available, okay? That is the wiggle room you have to do all sorts of interesting stuff, and we're going to talk about that. That is the space in your reliability where you have already met your specification, you've already met your goal, and now anything above that is cake, and maybe you can choose what you're going to do with that cake. I didn't really want to go that direction, but that's good. We'll go with cake. Oh, this does not have the powerful thing. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to point to that. So that's extra. So maybe it's 10% extra. Maybe it's 40% extra. You have this available stuff. You have this pool of unreliability that you can draw from, which I think is a strange way to think about it. But you have this point in time where nobody cares, right? If you say, I'm going to keep my stuff up 70% of the time, anything above 70% of the time, once you've met your objective, you can choose what to do with it. So let's talk about that. Oh, here's another thing that's super important that I want to mention here because it's going to come up before. Once you've actually set your error budget and you've said, okay, I've got this 40% here, the other key thing that you need to have in place is some sort of plan, or maybe even policies, the other term that people tend to use, about what you're going to do when it comes with the error budget when you either fall below it or exceed it. Okay? It's super important ahead of time to figure out what you're going to do, because it's really unpleasant to be standing somewhere and going, what do you think we should do? I don't know. I don't know. What do you think should we do? I don't know. I don't know what we should do. Like, you don't want to be in that realm. You want to know what to do in that situation. You want to get a good agreement with your stakeholders what you're going to do in that situation. Some people tend to put that as a separate step from error budgets. I do not. I think it is critical to understand with the people that you're constructing these SLOs with what you're going to do when you exceed them or exhaust them. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what happens if you exceed your error budget and you exhaust your error budget. Would anybody care to take a guess at this briefly? Actually, I'm not even going to let you guess. Let me tell you the right answer. The right answer, and there's only one right answer to this question for either one of them. The right answer for this question is not actually clicking. This is the only right answer. Okay? There is no right answer for what you should be doing when you exceed or exhaust your thing. What you choose to do, and I'm going to give you some suggestions and some possibilities, is up to you. Have the conversation. Do not say, David was standing on stage, use it by name, please, especially when you write to Satya, and said, this is the one true thing that you should do. It depends. It really depends. And in fact, me and some other advocates are going to go get some T-shirts that say, it depends, because it's true. But let's talk about some of the possibilities when I say it depends. So what happens if you exceed your error budget? What happens if things are going great? Well, yay! Yay for you. Celebrate. Be happy about it. I'm serious about this. Be happy, right? You've done it. You've met your objectives. This is cool. So maybe what you can do with that extra headroom is you can increase your release cadence. You can release more often. Why not? You've now got that space because it's okay. You're not going to. You can't break anything because you're above there. I mean, you can break things actually at that point. Or maybe you speed up your feature velocity. You accept more features in than you normally would because your reliability is good and you know it's good. It's exactly where you want it to be. Or do something more experimental. I'm not going to tell you what that is because then I'm going to be liable. But do something. Actually, I have no idea. But do something experimental. Go to the new code base. Try to do some experiments that are more disruptive. Maybe do some A/B testing. Like now's your chance if you've done this. Just in general, you can increase the change in your system, which is kind of cool. Wow, we're getting close to the end. We're moving along. Or you can do nothing. So I'm going to move a little faster now. I just realized that we're running close because this is such a fun topic. If you've exhausted your error budget, well, maybe you want to reduce your release cadence. Okay? Maybe you want to focus some resources in your environment on reliability, where you're spending time on instrumentation or resilience and stuff like that. Maybe you want to push the big red button and make everybody stop and everybody just focuses on the reliability problem. Possible. You could adjust your SLIs and SLOs. Maybe you're measuring the wrong thing. That's also a possibility. Or you could do nothing. You could watch. You could wait for a bit. The thing that I want to say to you is make a plan and follow the plan. Okay, so now we're going to get to the Azure part in our remaining little bit, and I have a demo here. I'm not clear that we're going to have time for said demo, but I will describe the demo to you, and I'll tell you about the demo, and I'll show it to you later if you want. Everybody can crowd over my laptop, but I just want to make sure that I did it. And the demo specifically is, the important thing here is that the key part of SLOs and SLIs from an Azure perspective, now we're talking about Azure, is the Azure Monitor stuff. There's some phenomenal stuff in Azure Monitor. So those this slide you saw before about where do the numbers come from, well, pipe the stuff in the log analytics. You can have agents or custom logs which are providing that stuff, or you can do some DIY to be pulling some stuff in if you're doing log collecting. There are client libraries that you can send in, and you can run the aggregator on Azure without a problem. Application insights are a great way to get stuff out of your app. There's a new data collector API that I'm really excited about where you can make HTTP REST calls and spit custom metrics into Azure. That's really cool. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. You can pull data from your load balancer in the application gateway and metrics. And you can also get it as reported by just the general application insight stuff. I'm going to leave this up for a second because people are taking a picture. The other thing is once you've got this, now you've got the Metric Explorer. You can do views, you can do dashboards, or if you're really hardcore, Power BI. Power BI, all the things, right? It's really kind of cool what you can do with this stuff. So I was supposed to do a demo. Would you folks be willing to spend another less than 5 minutes with me seeing a demo? Yeah? Are you cool with that? Yeah, everyone's okay. I've got thumbs up. Is this okay? You're not going to miss your next thing? Okay, let's do a demo. Dear laptop, please wake up. I would like the laptop to wake up. Okay. My fond hope is that we are doing this. Okay, so here's the demo. I have running an application, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to explain what's on the screen here in a moment. I have an application that I am running. Let me go over here. That is basically a Azure Functions app. It consists of two functions, which I'll show you in a moment if you care. One function, which is called business logic, which I thought sounded really good, which is something that if you call this thing, if you call it with no parameters at all, it gives you a 500. It errors out. If you call it with result equals success, it will give you back a 200 and say, yeah, you win. Okay, that's the business logic. I'm hoping to make a lot of money on this. Once I put blockchain into the error messages, I think I'm going to really be able to get some funding for it. So that's all it does. And then I have another function whose job it is where I just simply hand it to, it's a runner. Well, all it's going to do is make calls against that business logic thing. But it also can involve a little bit of unreliability. So you can say, hey, in this scenario, make 10 calls and report back that I succeeded 10 out of 10 times, or that I succeeded 20% of the time, or I succeeded 80% of the time. Okay, to simulate what happens when things go bad. Make sense so far? Right? So I'm going to make the runner, and it's going to hit the business logic thing, because this is good. I'm not going to use any fake company names for this. Let's just assume it exists. This is how I took and published those functions up. I'll show you the functions later. So the other thing I've been doing is so this is what I was talking about here, is I was running this command. I have a bunch of these that have been running during this talk. This command that basically says curl and go ahead and hit the business logic thing with result equals success. Is this big enough? It's not big enough. I'll make it bigger. We can embiggening it. Okay, now go Wi-Fi. This is going to be super exciting. I know you're going to be thrilled by this because, yay, it hit the thing and it got a 200, right? And you can imagine that if I hit the thing without this success thing, just to prove to you this exists, boo, boo, it errors out. Everybody's sad. Okay, now imagine this is real life. Or not. Whoa, come back here, rabbit. Okay, so now the thing is I can go ahead and I can tell this runner to spit a bunch of requests at that. The thing is, these things take a little while, and then I'm going to show you something cool about this in our remaining time. So what this is doing is this is saying the scenario is good, which means 100% of the time return it's fine. Okay? And then the number of times it's going to hit that endpoint. Okay? Does that make sense so far? Not a sophisticated demo. So the cool thing about this is when we come over here and we go and look at Azure stuff, and I know it's kind of tiny. I'm going to definitely find the not tiny stuff for you. But the functions I was talking about here, I'm going to Functions Apps. It's going to show me this. I'm going to find mine, which is here. And in a moment, at the speed of conference Wi-Fi, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. Ha, still there. You thought it was going to lose. Ha. Anyway, I have here two lovely functions, right? The business logic one, I hope you can see them. If not, let's see if we can make this bigger. Bigger, right, bigger. Business logic here that we're talking about, the runner here, and it's running. And so let's go look at some statistics from this. I'm over here in metrics land. Okay, and the way I get to metrics land, in case you're curious, and there's probably a faster way to get there, is I went through resource groups. I found mine. Go, go, go. I said, let's go look at the app service, which is running over here. Bum, bum, bum. No, it's not what I wanted to go to. My apologies. No, I don't want to look at those either. Let's go back to this. Resource groups, DMB. Here we are. Show me this. So over here, down at the bottom, if you want this to be bigger, I can be bigger. Bigger here. Is this cool thing called metrics. So we're going to back out again because otherwise it doesn't fit. And I'm going to say, OK, I want to do metrics. Metrics are cool. And I want to find mine. Here's mine. We're not going to bother with this. And we're going to say, OK, what I want is I want some metrics on that stuff. So now I can choose what metrics I can look at. And the metrics that I'm going to care about here are the function execution count. How many times did it run? And you can see I've been spitting some data at this. So that's one. So you can see here, this shows how many times this function has run. 403 times there. Recently, while we were talking, it ran 304 times. That's this number down at the bottom, which I find to be really kind of less pleasant. OK, so if I want to, I can now do this. I can go find the errors, HTTP server errors, and I can add it. It's a little tricky because, A, it's kind of small, but let's see if we can do this. But you can see that I have over here a lovely set of errors. Over here during this time, I have 100 errors and 344 successes. So that is roughly a third, right? Just checking to make sure you get this. The thing that's kind of fun about functions, by the way, I should mention when I'm showing you this demo, is if I go look at the runner stuff, the cool thing about functions is that you can run it directly from the portal. And when you do run it from the portal, you get to see these cool logs of it actually running. So the logs are down here, and I'm going to go over here in this test box over here and say, let's go run this thing. Should we make this terrible, good, or degraded? How do you feel about this? How are you feeling this morning? Terrible? I'm going to go with degraded, and I'm going to get this guy some help afterwards. OK, so when I run this, you should be running. You can come over here to this cool log, and over down here, you can see that it is actually making these calls, and you can see the function calls happening. Kind of fun. So the key thing to simply show you here, and the purpose of showing you this demo, and in fact, if I let it run long enough, we'd see some nice spikes going on over here, is that measuring this stuff in Azure metrics, not hard. Not basic SLOs, SLIs, not hard. Now, you can, with this in Power BI, do error chart burn down charts to see where you are versus your error chart. There's lots of stuff you can do, which we can go into some other time, and there's tons of other things to do. So let's do the wrap-up, shall we? Let's go back to this one. Right? Number 1, is that correct where I'm going? Number 4. Number 5, pick a number, any number, pick a video source. Yeah. OK, so let's just wrap this up. If you want to know more about SLIs and SLOs, one place to start is go read one of these books or all of these books or all the books to each other. One of them, disclaimer, I wrote. But there's SLI stuff in all of them, and really good stuff in that, and SLO stuff in there about how you do them, why you do them, where you do them. Go check it out. The other thing I'd also suggest is get yourself really familiar with Azure Monitor. I am fairly new to Microsoft, relatively speaking, and I found the docs to be really, really good. So I recommend you go check this out. This is where you're going to be doing most of your work around SLIs and SLOs is in Azure Monitor and the possibilities along those lines. The last thing I want to say is there is one more session coming up if you're into this SRE thing. If you are not an SRE now and want to know, like, I could never possibly go from who I am, like being a sysadmin, to being an SRE, come listen to Jared talk about how he did it, what his journey was like. If you want a sense of like what it's like to be this, he's going to tell you a really good story, and I really think you should enjoy it. If not, you feel free to watch all these other things that have been here at Microsoft Ignite. I really like talking about this stuff, as some of the people in the audience will attest. Always find me and hit me up if, in fact, you're going to find me on LinkedIn. Please tell me how you know me. I only tend to collect some people who have actually talked to me briefly and say hi, or at least have had some contact with me. But feel free to get in touch with me. Twitter is a great way to do it, and that stuff like that. And I hear that your feedback is really important, so please evaluate this session. But if you don't feel like evaluating the session, go back to talking to me. So I want to thank you for staying overtime. I really appreciate this to get just a little bit overtime. I hope this was helpful to you and useful. Thanks for coming, and enjoy the rest of Ignite.